Good morning and welcome to Fit News. I'm Jen from Fit with Shaver, and I help women learn how to make exercise work with their fluctuating hormones and not against by doing the right exercises at the right time and the right intensity. If you joined us for Fit News last week, we discussed the importance of your preventative health care and making sure you get those preventative checks in, especially with 2020 being what it was and a little crazy. We may have missed that mammogram or the dental checkup or your eye exam. So make sure that you have taken some time to get those appointments scheduled. All right, today I want to talk about cardio and high intensity interval training, which is just another way of saying intervals. Okay, interval training. I want to talk about how you can add high intensity interval training into your routine and why you should be doing it. And I want you to understand that no matter what your age or what your level, you can still add this into your routine. So while I do spend a lot of time talking about the importance of you adding strength training into your routine, I don't have to spend as much time trying to convince you to do your cardio because you're probably already doing it. But I want to spend some time talking to you about adding in high intensity intervals. Okay? Now that does not necessarily mean that because it's high intensity that it is high impact. It just means that we're interval training where we have hard bouts and we have easy parts. Okay? We also want to make sure that when we are doing our high intensity interval training, that this is the cardio and not the weights. So we're not going to be bringing our weights to our high intensity interval session. We're going to leave the weights for our strength training days when we can lift to muscular fatigue to build those lean muscles and that bone density. And we're going to be using our cardio sessions for strictly cardio. So keep the weights socially distanced from the cardio and don't bring them to the high intensity interval sessions. All right, so let's talk about high intensity interval and how you can add these in, no matter what your level or what your age. First off, as I said, these are simply high intensity interval. HIIT training is just another way of saying interval training, which means we're going to have a portion where it's hard, where we want to go hard, we want to be breathless, but then we also want to have a rest and recovery period built in as well. So we want to try and do 2 days a week of high intensity interval training. Now, if you're just starting out, you're probably going to want to start with 1 day a week. Or if you would like, as you progress, you can do 3 days a week, but we want about 40 to 45 minutes total for the week. So I usually break mine down into 2 days a week with 48 to 72 hours of recovery in between. And I like to do it where there's a 5-minute warm-up, because we always have to have a warm-up and a cool-down. So we've got a 5-minute warm-up, we got a 5-minute cool-down, which means I've got 20 minutes in between for my intervals. Now, what could your intervals look like? Remember that I said that high intensity does not have to be high impact, and it doesn't. So I choose running. That's my form of cardio. You need to choose one that works best for you. If running's not your thing, great, let's find something else. Maybe swimming is, maybe the elliptical is, maybe the rower is, maybe jump rope is. Maybe you find a hill and we use resistance. That uphill is your hard interval and the downhill is your easy interval, and it does not require you to run up the hill. If the hill is steep enough, walking quickly up the hill will create enough resistance. Biking is a great form of cardio that is low impact, and you can really get your intervals in by cranking up that resistance for the hard interval periods. Now, when we're talking about our hard interval periods, we want these portions to be really hard, which is why when we say we're doing 20 minutes and you're like, what's 20 minutes? I could totally do 20 minutes. You could totally do 20 minutes, yes, but we want this hard to be hard. This isn't just, oh, it's kind of hard. We want it hard, hard. We want breathless. So if you are doing it correctly, that 20 minutes is a really long time, okay? So we want to make sure that the hard is hard. It's breathless. On the flip side, we want to make sure that the easy is easy, the recovery. So our intervals, when we have the hard, we are working to the point of breathlessness. But when we're doing our easy interval, we're using that time to recover completely, so that way when we do get to the hard interval, we can do it correctly to its maximum potential, getting to that breathlessness point, okay? We don't have to be high impact. We can use resistance. So that's how we're able to get in. It doesn't matter your level. It doesn't matter your age. You can use resistance to get your heart rate up and your breathlessness going. Doing that during the hard and during the easy, we're recovering fully, okay? Now, the next thing we want to talk about is, well, if we do this 2 days a week and we have a 20-minute interval, what should the intervals look like? When you're just starting out, we want you to have a longer recovery period than we do hard work period. So maybe starting out with a 4 minutes of recovery and 1 minute of hard, or 4 minutes of recovery, 30 seconds hard. We want your recovery to be longer than your hard period. And as you progress through this, that's when you can go ahead and start to make them a little more even. So for example, the way that I usually work it, because I have been doing it for a while, so I'm able to do a 1 minute sprint and a 30-second recovery. And I will do that for 20 minutes. Bookending it with a 5-minute warm-up, and the warm-up is a warm-up, so it's easy, and a 5-minute cool-down. Again, also easy, which then enables me to do my hard really hard. Now, we want to make sure that when we're doing our exercises, our cardio, our HIIT training, that we're doing this at the right time of day. So we've got the right exercises, we're doing our cardio, the right intensity, we've got the right intervals, we've got the hard is hard and the easy is easy, the right time, meaning by the right time of day. So our cardio, especially high intensity, we want to make sure that we're doing this early in the day so as not to disrupt our sleep. Anything that is done later in the afternoon and the evening needs to be light. A light walk is fine in the evening. If you have to lift in the evening, that's fine. But we don't want to be getting our heart rate up and doing high intensity work later in the day, because that is going to just be a sleep disruptor, which we know we don't want to disrupt sleep, because that just creates a whole other set of problems. So in order to facilitate good sleep, we want to make sure that when we're doing our high intensity, that it gets done earlier in the day. So let's try and add some high intensity interval training. Remember, you don't have to be joint pounding in order to add this into your routine. You just need to add some intervals twice a week, separating those days 48 to 72 hours in between. Hard, keeping it, doing these exercises earlier in the day and adding this into your workout routine with your strength training on separate days will help you to get some excellent results. So let's hit it together. I'll see you for Fit News next week. Make it a great week. Bye.